Hello, friends. Today I want to discuss some issues that all of us face every day, but we don't publicly share our experiences with others, not even our own families in general. I'm talking about healthy defecation, pooping, as you probably expected from the title of this video. And before any of you start saying, ooh, just let me remind you of who it was that led me to cover this topic. That would be our Father through our Adon, Yeshua, Jesus. He knows our struggles in every aspect of our lives and desires to help us in every way possible. So let's begin our study. Let's start at the end. No pun intended. Well, maybe just a little bit. So let me get my screen set up. I want to share the screen with you. And you can see that happening now. And I want to open up a slideshow presentation, which I will begin to explain in greater detail what I'm going to be talking with you about today. Okay, here we see a slide entitled colon position. This is important because the position of your colon is the decisive factor of whether or not you can achieve proper defecation or not, pending no other physical problems such as cancers or blockages. But there are several things that we're going to share with you today that will help in your digestive health as well as help in your everyday going. I've got to go. When you got to go, you got to go, right? Okay, let's look at the position here. The man is squatting. He has his legs apart, basically under his arms, and this is the most natural. This is what our ancestors did for many years before there was such a thing as toilets. Okay, I want to speak about the anorectal angle, but this is not big enough here for you to see well, so I am going to advance to the next screen where I have this blown up. In a seated position, we have what is called the anorectal angle. And we have a muscle specifically called the puborectalis muscle. And this muscle wraps around the anal cavity just above the sphincter. And if we are in a sitting position, we have a kink right here. If you'll notice, there is a kink there, and that kink is something that's naturally there to keep us continent. Continence is important, so you don't want to be going everywhere you go, so to speak. But in the squatting position, you can see that the angle is much less, and basically the cavity is completely straight and not pinched at all. The puborectalis muscle is loosened and relaxed to properly be able to defecate. Now, let's go to the next slide. This is simple position. And this simple position is achieved by sitting on a toilet, putting a stool under your feet, and some of you will have to make adjustments. You will need a taller or a shorter stool to achieve what is considered to be a 35-degree angle in your body with your legs to actually relax and straighten the rectum so that you can defecate without problems. Let's go to the next slide. We're going to talk about the puborectalis muscle. If you are sitting at 90 degrees, this is how the puborectalis muscle is wrapping around the rectum and actually choking the rectum off. So that makes it difficult to release the feces through the rectum and out the the anal cavity. A healthy way to sit on the toilet is if you sit with your body in a 35-degree angle, body to legs, and putting your feet up on a stool and sitting in a squatting position. The puborectalis muscle is relaxed and the rectum is straightened out, allowing for easier passage of the feces through the rectum and into the anus and out, of course, of the body. Let's go to the next slide. The science of this is simple. We are designed to squat, and our ancestors squatted for centuries before the invention of the modern day toilet, which is also the cause of many modern day problems. Not so modern, even back into the early 1900s when people used this more and more, the modern toilet started developing problems and more problems with hemorrhoids, more and more problems with being congested, bloated, and many other things that come with improper defecation. Now, we don't know this in the United States, but the fact is the majority of the world's population still squats in order to defecate. Let's take a look at the colon. The average colon is between 3 to 6 feet long, and that depends on the size of a person. That depends on the height of a person. It depends on other factors such as previous surgeries. Many have had colon surgeries. I know a lot of my friends have had colon surgery at one point or another because of problems caused by the American toilet and sitting in order to defecate. The colon has the main purpose of removing waste from the body, and it features a natural bend, which is called the anorectal angle, which aids incontinence, which is a good thing, so that you're not going when you're not wanting to go. But sitting still keeps the colon kinked. And we'll look at this a little bit more in detail. The puborectalis maintains the anorectal angle. Sitting only partially relaxes the muscle, meaning that the colon is still kinked. It therefore remains difficult for feces to pass through. And how do we get it to pass through if it's still kinked? We strain. What happens when you strain? Adverse effects take place. Everything from hemorrhoids to internal and external hemorrhoids to other problems, and actually that causes bloating and other things because you are not able to defecate and empty a large part or all of your colon, which can cause a feeling of just bloating and I just didn't get to go good. I couldn't go good. But if you relax with squatting instead and using the methods and procedures I'm showing you here, the puborectalis muscle loosens, creating a straight passageway into the rectum. And this helps to ensure quick and comfortable elimination. Let's go to the next slide. You might say, well, Brother Ken, what if I go into a public restroom and there's no stool there? What am I going to do? How do I maintain, or how do I achieve that posture that's more conducive to eliminating everything in the colon? Well, this lady is showing us by example. You can lean forward. This is the average height of a toilet. You can lean forward, place your elbows on your thighs, and raise your legs with your feet to give yourself that 35-degree angle. And I just went backwards. Okay. No, I didn't go backwards. I went forward to the next slide. But you're able to achieve that 35-degree angle that opens up the colon to the rectum and provides easier passage of feces so that you can eliminate more of your colon more quickly and more easily without straining. Now, there may be some slight strain, but it won't be much, not as compared to trying to defecate in a sitting position. So let's go to the next slide. I want to show you an innovative technology in China. If we were to go into a restaurant that had a restroom like this, and we went into the restroom because we needed to go, we would look, and first thing that most of us would say is, somebody stole the toilet. Then we would look and see that there is a tank up at the top with a flush lever and then a pipe that goes down into the floor and apparently into this device because it's got a bowl. And then somebody might say, oh, I get it. They may still have to exit the restroom and ask the manager or one of the waitresses or waiters, what is that in the bathroom? But many would get it, that you would have to stand on either side of this opening and that you would have to squat in order to use this toilet. And eventually in time, you would learn how to use this efficiently and effectively. And it's much healthier because you are achieving the maximum position in order to release everything from your colon and through the rectum, because everything is straight and the passage is made much more simple and much easier. I'll show you the next slide, which is a public restroom in China. This is one of the innovative public restrooms. Notice there aren't partitions between each toilet because the privacy in China is not as much of a consideration as we have here in the United States. But moving on, that's the last of our slideshow. And now what I want to do is to go back to our Zoom screen. And I'm having to find everything. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your health and about when you go, what the consistency is of your feces, your stool. If your stool is hard, then it's more difficult to defecate. And if it's too soft, of course, it's going to be runny. But too soft is not as much of an issue as hard is, because hard can make us be impacted. And the fact is that if we are constipated, you just don't feel good at all. Have you ever noticed how a dog, if you have dogs and you walk dogs, how a dog, when they go, after they go, they scratch and cover everything up, or at least attempt to, and then they may leap and take off running because they feel so much better. Well, if you're constipated, you can't seem to get any satisfaction whatsoever of going and trying to relieve yourself by pooping. Well, how can you improve that? First suggestion is to eat plenty of fiber. The recommended amount of fiber is generally 25 to 38 grams per day. And consuming fiber can help the stool pass through more efficiently and effectively through your bowels, and to not have to strain. That is, if you are not in a sitting position, because if you're in a sitting position, you're going to strain regardless of whether your stool is soft or hard just right or runny or whatever. But a key is to eat plenty of fiber and then stay hydrated. The water content in your stool matters when it comes time to poop, because being dehydrated can cause hard, dark stools that lead generally to constipation. Another thing, what can we learn from walking a dog? Well, the dog doesn't have to go when you take it out of the house or out of the kennel or wherever your dog is staying. Your dog doesn't have to go at that moment. But when the dog starts walking and exercises, the dog will generally go if it needs to go. So exercise is something that stimulates the colon and can help clear things out. Exercise may also stimulate the blood flow to the abdominal region and triggering a bowel movement. So um, it's generally accepted that we should try to defecate at the same time each day. And people go sometimes one or two or three times in a day, maybe more. So when it comes to visiting a bathroom, we should visit a bathroom on a regular basis. And generally, because we are always processing food, we are always digesting, generally there's going to be something in the colon at any particular time that we choose to go. I don't recommend going if you don't feel the urge at all to go, but pretty much every morning I know that I'm going to go. So I try to make that at about the same time every day. And that gives me consistency um, and a schedule that I can basically maintain, sometimes at times better than other times, depending on what I have eaten and how much I have uh, drank in order to keep my hydration levels up. But if ever you have the urge in between your scheduled times, don't ignore the urge to go. When you feel pressure, it's indicating that it's time to use the bathroom. So don't try to hold it in. Just getting into a habit of going as soon as you feel the need to is going to be healthier for you. Um, some people will ask, well, how do I know if I'm constipated? Well, if you're constipated, you're going to know it. Um, Constipation is one of the most common digestive symptoms in the U.S., and at least 2.5 million doctor visits a year related to constipation. Um, Common signs of constipation is including a feeling of fullness and irritability combined with 2 or 3 days sometimes without a bowel movement, and that's not healthy. But um, to eliminate constipation, sometimes we need medicines, but it is much better if you just drink more water. It is suggested that as many as eight 8-ounce glasses of water are needed by our bodies each day. And some people say, I just don't like to drink water. Well, I was one of those people that didn't like to drink plain water so much when I was younger, but as I got older, I started craving the water because I could see the benefits of drinking more water. And I still probably do not drink enough water today, but I drink enough so that I don't have problems with constipation as a general rule. Um, but constipation is typically caused by dehydration or fiber deficiency, stress, or other underlying health conditions, which need to be addressed with a doctor or self-evaluation if you prefer. Okay, if you have frequent constipation, it's probably worth your while to try this new pooping position that I'm speaking to you about, so that you can eliminate the problem and eliminate the waste. Now, I know this has not been something that you would commonly hear on the internet, although it's more available today than it ever has been before. And you would not expect to hear from a channel such as this, which is more oriented to serving the Father. But the Father chooses to serve us from time to time, and that's why he has been putting on my heart over the past actually months to make a presentation about this and share what I have learned, what has benefited me more than anything in my life ever as far as physical health is concerned. Drink more water, eat more fruits and vegetables. For my lunch today, for example, I ate a can of tuna fish. This was just a simple quick fix and eat. And I had mixed that with mayonnaise and, believe it or not, diced tomatoes. And whether you use fresh tomatoes or whether you used canned diced tomatoes, the fresh is better, but if you can only use the diced from a can, that's okay as well. It's still healthy. But that was a simple lunch for me. Well, the tomatoes gave me the fiber that I needed, and the tuna provided the basic protein that I needed. And of course, there were the vitamin C and vitamin A and D that I got. I actually sprinkled cheese over the top of it, so I got some vitamin D from that. Try to eat healthy and eat well, and you'll notice wellness is not a hard thing to achieve when you do everything that you can do and pray about everything that you ingest and pray for the Father's barakot, blessings on all of that, and you will be surprised what significant improvements can be made in your life, in your health, and your pooping with proper posture. So, okay, now I want to share something with you that I learned many years ago and have been practicing, but I've been studying more recently as well, and that's self-administer colonic massage. So I don't have the room to actually show you how to do this, and I don't want to stand and all you can see is my stomach, so I prefer to go to somebody else that knows how to do this and can display it better than I can display it. So at this time we want to join Miss Janie Patel Thompson. Janie?
Hi, I'm Jeannie Patel Thompson, and today I'm going to teach you a really useful technique called colonic massage. Now, colonic massage can be used for a number of different things. First thing is if you are experiencing, chronic diarrhea or a lot of loose, watery bowel movements, you have a bowel movement, then half an hour later you got to go back and have another bowel movement, maybe 15 minutes later, go back and have another bowel movement. This technique works really well because it helps to move all of those separate little stool deposits around and out together. So it can cut down on the number of bowel movements you're going to have. The second really useful use for it is if you're constipated and your stool is stuck or it's just not descending down into the rectum like it should. The colonic massage will, take over from your peristalsis, which is not working properly. Peristalsis is the rhythmic contractions of the intestinal wall. It's kind of like a wave that moves the stool around. If your peristalsis is malfunctioning, the colonic massage can mimic that and can help move the stool around and move it down into your rectum where you can finally have a bowel movement. You can do it during a bowel movement. So it just makes everything easier. It means you don't have to push and strain as much, whereas if you have hemorrhoids or a tendency to hemorrhoids, that really helps. And the other thing that it's really good for is if you're having lots of gas and bloating. So when you have a lot of gas trapped in your belly, You can go somewhere private, do this, and fart some of it out, get rid of some of it, or sit on the toilet and do it. So that's the fourth usage. The fifth usage is for babies, okay? Whenever you have a newborn baby, their digestive system has never worked before. They've never taken food by their mouth and having gone through their whole digestive system. So I don't know of a single baby who ever has their digestive system work 100% from day one. So they often need a bit of help because either gas gets trapped or stool gets trapped. In extreme cases, of course, that leads to colic, and it's called colic. And in my DVD called Baby Fart Aerobics, I combine this colonic massage technique with a bunch of other techniques that are really effective for relieving that pain and pressure and basically healing a colicky baby very fast. But if you just do this colonic massage technique on its own with a baby, you will see really good results. I also teach my children how to do it because, at some point, for whatever reason, they can all have difficulty having a bowel movement. Once you've taught your kids how to do this, and of course you just do it for them the first couple times, once they know how, you'll see them, they'll be sitting on the toilet and they'll be massaging themselves. So let's get started. When you do colonic massage, you always have to have your knees bent. You do not want to be straight, okay? Because that stretches and it makes everything tight. And the whole point of the massage is things have to stay loose. So you can do it either sitting, like here, like if I was sitting on a toilet, or you can start by lying down on, your bed or your sofa. And again, the knees are up. They're not straight like this, okay? So your knees are up, so this keeps your belly soft, okay? And the path of the colonic massage is the colon is a horseshoe shape. So it starts down here in the lower right quadrant. It comes up in a horseshoe, could be under your rib cage, could be lower than your rib cage, depending on the length of your torso, over to the left side, then down, and then of course it comes in because the rectum is in the center of your body. So when you're massaging, you can use either your fingertips, you can use your knuckles, or you can use the heel of your hand. And all of these give a different type of pressure, they give a different amount of pressure. If you're doing this for a child or a baby, you just want to start with the fingertips and even just start stroking. You don't even need a whole lot of pressure for it to be effective for children. For yourself, of course, you'll use, whatever feels good to you. So if you're lying down, same thing. You start here in the lower right, and I like to massage in circles because, especially like, let's say you've got some stool stuck and you've got to break up the blockage, okay? Maybe you have a stricture that keeps the stool from moving through, and you've got to push it through that restricted place. The circular movement, but all the time pushing to the left, okay? Pushing up, pushing to the left. You come over to the left side, maybe you want to switch hands, and then you're digging in and you're pushing it down towards the rectum. Okay, so you can do this as slowly as you want. You can stop and spend time on a certain section. Just dig in, move it back and forth. The more you do this, you'll get to know your own colon, and you'll get to know, it feels like something's stuck there. I'll just, really work on that area a little bit more. But this is, a technique that, everybody in your family should know, and your kids especially should know. And as I said, feel free to use it, but if you have gas, it will move the gas around, so you may want to do it in private, in your bedroom, or, in the bathroom, sitting on the toilet. And just the whole time you're doing it, breathe deeply, okay? And you don't want to breathe into your chest. You want to breathe into your diaphragm, into your belly. So, the deep belly breaths, because that helps to, as your diaphragm expands and contracts, that massages the colon as well. So you're kind of having a double benefit going on there. So, thanks for watching.
Well, I certainly hope and pray that you have learned something from this video. I know that it was a little bit embarrassing maybe, especially to see someone who's sharing the scriptures most of the time with you, sharing something like this, but I want you to be on the road to better health, and better health and wellness leads to better study, and better study leads to being closer to our Father. So, thanks for sharing and stopping by. And I pray that this has been a berekah, a blessing to each and every one of you. Shalom.